Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic.com NBA strategy show presented by Bet365. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D, joined by Josh Engleman at Josh Engleman. A little Monday morning action here, 2-game slate coming off an interesting Sunday. I'll say some of those games, glad I fell asleep during the Denver game. That was whatever. But Clippers, Phoenix, man. Ooh, how about that stuff last night? Dude, Kawhi, I feel like he just doesn't get any love in the regular season because, minutes are somewhat limited at times, and he sits out a bunch, and you've got so many other stars that are vying for the MVP. Kawhi, man, yesterday, what a fun game that was.
Did you enjoy the Russell Westbrook experience?
Listen, you could shit on Russ all you want because he shot terrible. What?
Go ahead. I know where you're going. Go for it.
And you're probably going to disagree with me. That's fine because you're Josh Engleman. Russell Westbrook shot terrible. I tweeted yesterday something about, like, the guy has been an absolute animal on the offensive boards, but then with less than a minute left, he's jacking up 3-pointers. He shot like 3 of 19. He had a horrible day shooting.
Antoine Murphy. Russ played very well. I can't do this.
Here's the thing. Kawhi Leonard was the only player in the starting lineup with a positive plus minus.
Starting lineup. Gotcha.
In the starting lineup. And look, I tweeted this yesterday. Go and look at the bench comparisons for Phoenix and for the Clippers. Clippers' entire bench was like plus 12, plus 14, plus 10, plus 17. The entire bench for the Suns was in the negatives. Every one of them had a negative plus minus. So all I'm saying, Russell Westbrook did not play a great game, but in the final couple minutes of that game, he had a few offensive rebounds that made a massive difference, and you can't take that away from him. As a whole, I don't think Russ played a good game, but the dude's hustle, getting like 3 offensive boards in the final 2 minutes, did make a difference. That's all I'm saying.
You know why it made a difference?
Why is that?
Do you know why he was able to make these plays that helped down the stretch? Because he sucked for the game. If he's just not out there doing all of his awful shit, he doesn't have to make those plays at the end because they're just better before that happened. What are we talking about here? Unpredictable for yesterday. Minus 0.3 win percentage added, the lowest of anybody in the entire game. 19 field goal attempts. 22% true shooting. That is abhorrent. We cannot say that he played well. That is insane. Minus 2.0 box score EPM. Awful.
You're missing the point.
Awful.
You're missing the point. He played poorly, but still gave everything at the end to make a difference. Like, there's so many guys out there. It's true, man, because he did not have a good game. Okay. So
get him the hell out of there.
Who do you replace him with?
I think Terrence Mann would work.
Yeah, Terrence. I figured you'd say that. All I'm saying is a lot of guys in that situation that have a dog shit game from top to bottom aren't making a difference to at least try and negate some of those effects from earlier in the game. There's so many players out there that when they shoot poorly like that have virtually no impact outside of poor shooting and hurting the team. That's what I'm saying.
We got to stop treating him like being Rudy is good. Congratulations on playing hard in the playoffs. What a heroic effort there. You're awful and costing the team.
Man,
the only reasons you're able to do anything of value at the end of the fourth quarter when it matters is because of how bad you were before. If you were somebody else, it's an 8-point game for the Clippers and you don't have to do that shit.
Yeah, you hate this guy.
I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's insane to think that he played well yesterday.
I'm not saying he played well.
Chad is.
Did you watch the game?
Of course I didn't watch the game. I was drunk.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like if you watch the end of this game, you'd go, Jordan, did you watch the game? You're a Clippers fan. What did you think of Westbrook's? And put your fucking producer cam on before I fly out there to California. What did you think of Russell Westbrook at the end of this game?
He was great. He had a game-winning block, saved the ball off the block, threw it off at Booker, won the game.
Right. So Josh's point is that he had a horrible game and he wouldn't needed to do all that at the end. I agree with that. But you cannot take away from the fact that he did do all that at the end of the game. He did do all that at the end of the game.
Apparently you can.
But you can't. He had a bad game, but then he made some crucial stops. He had some massive offensive boards. Dude, I think he had 3 offensive rebounds on a single series. Like it makes a difference whether you can look at all the stuff. You can look at all of the advanced analytics. And I'm certainly not someone that goes, oh, I don't look at that. Of course I look at that stuff. I'm just saying a bad game isn't necessarily negated by what he did at the end, but nobody's going into the locker room after the game and being like, man, if Russ played better, he puts us in a better spot. No, because he did put them in a good spot at the end when they needed him. And the ultimate decision here, the only thing that matters is they won. Now, Russ comes back out next game and is horrible again, and he's hurting the team through 48 minutes, fine. But like you go back and you don't look at this and go, he had a bad game. You look at it and you say, you know what? At the end of this game, he made some crucial plays and we walked out of Phoenix on the road game 1 with a win. That's all it comes down to. That's all it comes down to in the end. You can disagree. That's fine, but it's true.
He was the most harmful player for the Clippers yesterday. DFS production doesn't equate to bad play. He had a great DFS game. He was shit in real life. That's the point of this.
But not when it mattered.
Oh my God. Apparently not, because he cost the team 0.3 of a win, more than anybody else in the entire game.
I get it. I'm just saying that he stepped up late in the game when he was needed. You can have a bad
in real life.
You can have a bad game and make plays that
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Yes,
no, you can't.
Yes,
obviously there are positive plays. You're just throwing out all of the negative plays. Of course, people do good things over the course of a game. He didn't.
I'm saying how much worse it would have been had he not made those game-saving plays over the final couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, do you know why he wouldn't have to do that? Because if he would have just shot 7 of 19, they're up 10, and he doesn't have to save shit.
Right,
he put them in a situation that they had to.
I get it, but
that he
players have games where they shoot poorly.
Yeah, but he's awful at shooting. It's not like that's an aberration for him. Yeah, he's always awful.
Probably shouldn't have attempted 5 threes. It's funny. He hit a 3 at one point in the second quarter, and they're like, Russell Westbrook's really improved that 3-point shooting lately. And then he just goes on to miss all of them because he's just simply not a good shooter. We all know that.
But to advocate for someone with 22% true shooting yesterday lets me know exactly whose name I should just cross off in chat over and over again.
Dude,
to be that bad and to have people advocate for you is insane. 22% true shooting.
He shot poorly. Yeah, he had a bad game and he shot poorly. He's not a good
But he shoots poorly.
I know.
That's not a surprise.
He shouldn't have attempted 19 shots, but he made a difference late in the game. Like, I get it. Yes. Let's say, was he one of the reasons? Was he the reason that they were only up by a couple points, one possession at the end of the game? Sure. Yes. But he wasn't the reason they lost, because at the end of the game, he made plays and they didn't lose the game.
That's the absolute most ridiculous way to look at this. It's incredible.
You understand, I get what you're saying, but basketball has nuance. Like, there are nuance in these games. You can play a bad game and then still go into the locker room and be like, man, he played like shit. Probably shouldn't have shot that much because he's not a good shooter. But hey, you know what? He didn't cost us the game in the end. That's all I'm saying. Like, there is nuance to the game to sports. There's nuance.
Sure.
No? Okay. So like, I mean,
every advanced stat that I look at has him costing the team in a dramatic fashion. And we're just going to be like, well, he was out there, man, going for it.
Dude, you didn't even watch the game.
Incredible.
All right. Justin Sports said to say you can't have a bad game and still make plays is utterly ridiculous. That's all. I think there's a disconnect here. Nobody's saying he had a good game.
Half of chat is saying he had a good game. You're 100% wrong.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is that he made some huge plays at the end of the game to where you're not going back in the locker room and everyone's just staring at him thinking this guy cost us the game. Certainly could have happened. He made some great plays at the end of the game, dude. Made some huge hustle plays, a huge block, several offensive rebounds to maintain possession. That counts.
I agree with Brandon D. He had a major impact on the game. I completely agree with that statement.
I see where you're going with this.
That's the right statement. Russell Westbrook in 2023 is playing the second most minutes for the Clippers and shooting 3 for 19. And we have people being like, good effort. That's insane to me. Insane. The fact that the Clippers were able to win this game is so wild. So wild. Let's just say the Suns win yesterday. I know that's like, I'm stretching it here. Let's just say the Suns won yesterday. Isn't everybody just being like, holy shit, Russell Westbrook was 3 for 19. Can't have that. But because the Clippers win, we like reevaluate this game somehow. You have to, it's the process, not the result. You got to reevaluate it the same way.
I know, but still, they didn't win because at the end of the game, Russell Westbrook made enough plays to negate some of the poor play earlier in the game.
No, Kawhi Leonard made enough plays to offset the poor play of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, well, Kawhi should.
Yes.
He should. All right, a good start to the show. Happy to have you guys.
There's nothing that makes my blood boil more than this. I'm so angry right now.
I know you are, and there's no reason to be. There's no reason.
No, there is reason to be. There is reason to be. He's awful. Awful.
Happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Damn, we almost got 300 people in here. All right. All right. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you're watching after the fact. And if you're listening in podcast form, Josh, we know they're out there. We see them. We see them. You love them. Leave a rating, review, subscribe to the pod. Tell your friends about the show as well. We appreciate it. It goes a long way. And yeah, let's have some fun. Seriously, though, atone for your sins. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe. Helps us keep the lights on around here. That's all I'm saying. If nothing else, hit that thumbs up for Russell Westbrook's masterful performance in clutch time in the final. I see Josh trying to calm himself here, so I'm just.
I am.
Masterful performance, hauling in those offensive boards, getting that big block. Jordan, you would agree, right? Absolutely. He said, yeah, he's muted, but yes, absolutely. All right, let's do it. We got a couple games to talk about here. And well, Brooklyn, Philly, that game got out of control early. Well, I guess early in the second half, 213.5 point total, Philly 10-point favorites. And then Golden State and Sacramento. That was a fun game, man. Warriors still 1.5 point favorites, 240 total. On the road. So let's dive into Brooklyn and Philly first. Got ownership projections, get the boom bust tool ready to rock here. On the Brooklyn side, I tell you what, like Bridges, you want to talk about a guy, and you can dig into the numbers here. You want to talk about a guy who can drop a ton of points, but just has essentially no influence whatsoever when the ball isn't in his hands. Like, he doesn't make plays. He takes a ton of shots. He can rack up a ton of points, but I'm honestly not sure he's good for this team in the sense of like, you need to produce a quality, efficient offense. And Bridges, if Bridges isn't touching the ball, he just is doing essentially nothing else, but he's going to jack up a ton of shots today. He's getting 22% ownership. Royce O'Neal actually getting the most at 40%. Dinwiddie's price has come down on DraftKings. He's at 38%. So on a 2-game slate, you're going to have ownership going to quite a bit of these guys. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Mikal Bridges. Maybe you can go 3 for 19 today and have a good game, you know?
Well, as long as he hauls in those offensive boards and gets some nice block, but he won't.
No, he'll play all defense level defense. It doesn't matter. I love Bridges today. I liked him 2 days ago, which was great for the first half and less great for the second half, but 21% owned. He's 7,700. It's next level stupid that he's just shooting guard eligible and not shooting guard small forward. We're talking about one of the more versatile defenders in the league here. Like, he plays more than one position. I'm quite confident of it. But even without it, you know, he's a fantasy point to like a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy. He's going to play 40 minutes. He's going to have a 30% usage rate. Like, all signs point to wanting to get to him here. And with that salary, it's appealing. The downside here is that Philly is a 10-point favorite, and it's a real problematic game because you do need those 40 minutes. But nobody else is shooting for this team. For some strange reason, this trade happened and everybody came over, and somehow Dinwiddie isn't trying to shoot more. Like, he's a 22% usage guy, and he's not really going for it. That said, love Spencer Dinwiddie today at 7,200. I've got a problematically large amount of the Brooklyn Nets. It's a giant stand on Bridges. He's in 64% of my lineups right now. Spencer Dinwiddie's in 50. Nick Claxton's in 35. I've got him in for 34 minutes. This is what these guys were trending for if it didn't go not so great in the fourth quarter against Philly that first time out. But it's not even just there. 5,800 for Cam Johnson. He's like a 0.9 guy. He's a little over 20% usage dude. Small forward, power forward. So you're getting that MPE, which is what Mikal Bridges deserves. That looks fine. Dorian Finney-Smith for 4,200, I think, is going to be pretty interesting. I have no idea how many minutes that dude's going to play today. But at 15% ownership, I think he's very, very intriguing as a way to save some salary at that particular price tag. And then you get Royce O'Neal, who ended up playing 28 minutes before we got into the blowout. He's 40% owned right now. I mean, just looking at it like that, I'm more interested in Dorian Finney-Smith in the large field contest than I am in Royce O'Neal if it's going to be 40 to 15 in ownership.
By the way, and S&P and I just hashed this out in chat, but I just want to clarify. He said, so Mikal Bridges is a negative player, but Russ isn't. What are we doing? And I know it may have come off wrong from my part. He said, I feel like I'm getting trolled. I was talking DFS. I meant that Mikal Bridges is insanely scoring dependent at his price point. That's all I meant.
Yeah.
In game one, he had 2 potential assists and 6 rebound chances. Like, you would agree, you need Mikal Bridges to be operating with massive usage in order to get there. Like, he is entirely a scoring dependent player. I wasn't comparing that to the actual functionality of the offense. I do think at times it's not great. But no, I just meant from a DFS perspective, you actually absolutely need Mikal Bridges scoring like 25 plus points in these type of games. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the way that he gets an outlier today is if he's active defensively and can grab a couple extra blocks and steals. Which is I see that more likely than him like falling into a ton of assists and rebounds.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. I mean, it just really doesn't happen with him. When Bridges has the ball, it's like, 90% chance he's shooting it.
Which, so far for Brooklyn has worked. But
yeah, you need him to, though.
Oh, yeah, they don't have a choice. But like at this point in time, I mean, I think that choice works. The problem is there's nobody behind. Just like everybody is a roll too high on this team. Bridges has to play like a 1 he's not even really a 2, but like he has to play like a 1. Spencer Dinwiddie has to play like a 2. He's not really a 2. He's more like a 4 on a good team, or maybe even worse than that if it's Kyle Kuzma trying to explain him. Like, these guys are all just miscast right now. They're just in real trouble, which is a shame.
Well, that's kind of the thing. There's almost a point here where it's like, all right, we'll let Bridges get his shots. We'll let Bridges get some points, because otherwise it's like Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith don't create their own shot. No. Spencer Dinwiddie can. He had 15 drives last game, so he was a little more aggressive than you might think. He didn't have a great game. And then, Nick Claxton relies on lobs and buckets around the rim. They really don't have a full team effort in this starting lineup when it comes to really being able to move the basketball well and have guys create their own shots. That Bridges is going to need to score 30 points if they want to stay competitive in this game, dude. Yeah.
Look, 923 minutes so far for the Nets, or at least 923 minutes in the regular season. Let me add the playoff game too, just so I have the actual total. 957 minutes for Bridges since he's been in Brooklyn. 30.5% usage rate, 61% true shooting. Like, he just has to keep doing that. If he's doing that, everything that he's doing is right. Like, and you can't ask for anything more out of Bridges. But if that true shooting becomes what you think it should be for him having 30% usage, that's where it starts to get problematic. And that's what I don't know if you see that happen. And now that Mikal Bridges becomes the guy that people pay attention to in a playoff game, can he still be a 60% true shooting, 30% usage guy when he's getting the full brunt of a defensive attack? I don't know. But at 22% ownership, given that price tag, given that position, I am going to find out today.
Yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable price point. You just need him to keep racking up points, because if he doesn't, it's a bad game. But in Bridges' defense, the guy goes out there every day and rips off like 25 plus points. So there's that. They pulled the starters early last game, like little less than 5 minutes remaining. Makes sense, but just and guys like Cameron Johnson, he's going to play a lot of minutes if this game's competitive. Dinwiddie and Bridges are going to play a ton of minutes if this game's competitive. Claxton played 30 minutes and only played a couple minutes into the fourth. So we should expect minutes for a lot of these starters. Like you said, DFS playing time, Dorian Finney-Smith's playing time. That one is certainly up in the air. But aside from that, I think you're going to see really consistent minutes across the board. The only question really is, can this game stay competitive? They are severely outmatched against the Sixers.
Yeah, the DFS one is the real weird one. I thought he was going to be like a real key cog here for Brooklyn, and they've phased him out a bit. I just don't know what to do with his projected minutes. Like, he's the one guy where I think he could very easily come out here and play in the 30s, and I think that he's very live to go out there and have another 18-minute game. And I don't know where everything else lands, because they didn't go to like some sort of ultra deep rotation or anything like that. So I don't. He's the weirdest guy to me. I guess we haven't talked about the fact that Day'Ron Sharpe is getting close to 20% ownership too at 3,300 backup center.
If that wasn't a blowout, he was playing 12 minutes.
I know. And like, I gave him 14 for today, just in case, factor in the reverse side of that blowout. I don't know if, like, I understand why it's happening, because there's no ultra pay down options that you can get to,
and there won't be on most of these playoff sites.
No. And like, look, he's a really good per minute dude. I got him as 1.1 baseline. He's been playing a little bit better as of late, but I get it if you need to save some salary. It's just not the way that I go about it.
By the way, how about the fact that Giannis, Tyler Hero, and Ja all go down on the same day?
It sucked. I hate it.
It sucked, because I'm not convinced that these guys are going to just be right back.
Well, I mean, Hero's done.
Well, he's got the
done.
broken
He's
hand.
done 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, but with Giannis dealing with the back, that's a little bit scary. Miami got a convincing road win without Giannis yesterday. By the way, keep an eye on some of these live props, guys. Middleton was at 21.5 points at even money at halftime, Josh. At halftime, and he had 14 points at halftime.
Oh my God.
Giannis was out
with no Giannis. Yeah.
His live points prop was 14.5 or 21.5 even money. So some good opportunities there.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin Durant was at 21.5 at one point in that game. There's some great spots to hit on. You just don't want to go crazy. But yeah, the Philly side, and shout out to you guys. We're at 80 likes already, almost 400 people watching us. So appreciate it. The Philly side, Joel Embiid just didn't need to do a ton last game. One of the reasons is that Brooklyn, if you watch this, did sell out to stop Joel Embiid. There are zero doubts about that. I was surprised he only had 3 assists, because they really did sell out to stop him. Also, James.
So I'm not surprised by that, actually. If you want to think about it, he was. I bet his if you can look it up, I bet his hockey assists were higher.
What are hockey assists? The secondary assists.
Yeah. So like,
you're
he's getting
right.
doubled. That first pass comes out to the first thing he sees, but the next guy is the guy that has the extra rotation. So it's harder for him to acquire that assist.
Very likely just trying to drive into the paint, getting stuffed, and then kicking it back out to Harden.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Because you know why too? He's always had a tough time passing over defenders, like to guys on the baseline or guys at the 3-point line. So maybe you're right. Like corner threes, he's always turned the ball over, and maybe they've kind of changed that up. But all I know is he didn't need to do a ton last game. James Harden didn't shoot well from the field, but he drilled, 7 of 13 threes. So he was 8 for 21. 2-point field goal attempts were brutal, but 7 for 13. He had a significant usage rate. Although it's funny, because I'm not sure if you noticed this. His free throw attempts lately, non-existent.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't know why it's happening, but I don't look, I think he was a little dinged up down the stretch and he just wasn't attacking that way. So
he had 0 free throw attempts last game. Do you know how many free throw attempts he has over his last 5 games? Just take a guess without looking.
16, 14.
8. He doesn't have more than
3 secondary assists for Embiid.
Okay, there you go. Harden has 2 or fewer free throw attempts in 5 straight games. That's shocking to me because he's a great free throw shooter. You get him to the line, you're going to be locking in some guaranteed production. But I mean, he's going to play 40 minutes in a close game. He plays monster minutes if it's competitive, and he's a massive playmaker. So what are you doing with Embiid and Harden at the top today?
I'm honestly a little surprised. I thought I was going to get a ton. I think Embiid at 10-6 looks amazing, and I'm hoping that I can make some adjustments to try to get more. He's 37% owned. I think that's more than warranted. I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, it's really flat. 37 to Embiid, 34 to Curry, 33 to Sabonis. You got 28 to Harden. Like, that's 9K plus. That's basically just like, I don't know, pick whoever you want. Those guys might as well be owned the same. But I love the idea of getting to Embiid. We just don't have enough at the bottom to like really feel good about it. I think that's part of the reason you're seeing Day'Ron Sharpe get up to 20% ownership, because if you want to get to Embiid, you need to start making some concessions. But to me, he very clearly looks like the best option on today's slate. I don't think that $10,600 price tag is all that problematic. I have him as the highest projected guy on the slate, and it is not close. It's just really, it's hard to build a lineup with Joel Embiid where you're looking at it like, I see the path for all these guys. Like, you're picking a backup dude that doesn't really have it, and you're hoping that today is the day that you get that backup dude right. Now, Harden, I think, is just easier to get to at 9K. He's 28% owned. That's exactly what I have. So I find Harden to be easier to roster, but I'm going out of my way to get Embiid if I can. And I don't care about all the constant doubles or whatever. Like, he's going to be fine.
Well, also, if the Sixers are raining down threes again, Jacques Vaughn might actually readjust what he's doing here. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, and I don't blame them for selling out to stop Joel Embiid. You got to do something, right? But
yeah, they don't have a choice.
But the Sixers had a career high postseason amount of threes made in that game too. Tallest 2K10 said the Nets actually aren't outmatched. The Sixers are a 2.5 man squad. They need to have the mentality of putting up 130 in order to beat the Sixers. No, they are outmatched.
They're massive. They're massively. It's a 10-point line.
What's that?
The line is 10.
Yeah. Right.
Put it on a neutral court. Call it 7. That is massively outmatched. It's not close.
You can't just say they're a 2.5 man squad either, because
it's so silly.
Well, if they're a 2.5 man squad, what are the Nets? A half man squad?
Yeah.
You know,
they're a 0 man. They're like a 0 man squad.
Right. Like Joel Embiid on his own. Joel Embiid had underwhelming fantasy numbers last game, and I guarantee you the impact that he had. Oh, they didn't make 21 threes because they got lucky. If you watch that game, they collapsed on Joel Embiid. Completely collapsed on Joel Embiid. The impact that he has on both sides of the floor when he's out there is immense.
It would take a staggeringly bad shooting day to like,
yes,
for the looks that they were getting in that game.
Yeah, and that happens. That happens sometimes. That's why, like, teams, when everyone's like Sixers sweep them, right? Or Boston sweeps them, Atlanta. And sure, I think Boston should sweep Atlanta. Basketball's a weird. You're going to have games where sometimes just nobody's making shots, even though you're the far superior basketball team.
And to talk more about Brooklyn here, -2 per 100 possessions in games that Mikal Bridges has played this season.
Right.
Like, they're not even an average team.
What are the Sixers in games that Embiid has played?
Let's find out.
Yeah, let's take a peek. Take a peek.
I'm guessing 10 is my guess. 12, something like that.
But yeah, just a massive difference.
I'm pulling it up right now, so I'll have it. Whenever this query finishes running.
S&P said, how are the Nets ever going to outscore anyone? Yeah, exactly. Like, this is not a team that's built to outscore you in the sense of a shootout. Like, you get involved in a barn burner, and the Nets are very likely not the favorites to win that game.
Plus 4.1 per 100 possessions. I honestly thought that was going to be significantly higher.
Tallest said, okay, subtract Harden, Maxey, and Embiid. Who else on that squad can get you 15 points in a game consistent? Okay, subtract Bridges. Like, what are you doing, man? How are you looking at this from one side and being like, yeah, but Brooklyn. So let's take the 3 best players off the team for Philly, leave the best players on the team for the net. What are you doing? You can't do that.
Dude, like when the Heat were really good, they were like a 3-man team. But if you take LeBron, Wade, and Bosh off the court,
what are they going to do?
They ain't shit.
What are they going to do?
What a dumb take. Holy shit.
Mario Chalmers ain't winning them no games.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And by the way, the answer to subtract Harden, Maxey, and Embiid, who else can get you 15 points in a game consistently? It's Tobias Harris.
Yeah, Harris can.
He would average more than 15 points per game if those 3 guys weren't around.
Tobias? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he averages 15 on the season, Josh.
Right. Obviously.
He averages.
Obviously. Melton would too, by the way. How many did Melton average this year?
Oh, yeah. Melton's another one.
Probably like 12.
You could throw Shake out there, and without them, he'll give you 15 points. He didn't even play.
Dude, Paul Reed would average 15 if he started.
Yo, Paul Reed's the man. Like, I'm not saying you want this guy as a starter on a contending team, but did you see some of the stuff he was doing in that game? Paul Reed's fun, man.
He really is. They're only good because of how dominant Embiid is and the fact you have to respect Harden when he's on offense. Yes, that's the point. That's every team.
The LeBron teams are only as good as they are because of how dominant LeBron was throughout his career.
Holy shit. That's the whole reason that these teams try to get the really good players.
What are
You're
we
explaining
doing?
Roster construction.
Yeah, like teams with better players are better teams. Teams
crazy how Tom Brady won all those Super Bowls, you know?
Right. Yeah, dude, if you took Tom Brady out of the Patriots, ugly.
It's amazing that all these teams go out of their way to get stars as much as they can. I don't know why. Can't figure it out. Can't figure it out. None of these teams have a 10th man that's as good as Joel Embiid, you know?
Yeah. John said, "Stop bullying." No one's bullying him, dude. If you're going to comment, we can comment back. We're doing. We're having a conversation here, but no, that you can't be like take the best players off the team.
Now the team isn't good.
Yeah. Go back to Josh's Westbrook point. You can't take 46 minutes away from the game and say it was a good game, right?
Right. Right.
Yo, I'm going to throw one out there for you, and it's going to make you sick, but I got to do it anyway, okay?
You're going to advocate for PJ Tucker here?
I'm not advocating, but what I am saying is he was on pace to play around 28, 29 minutes in that game, and his defense was insane. Like those 5 steals, none of them were by chance. He was everywhere in that game. Playoff PJ Tucker, just in the sense of like, you got him so he can give you defensive effort 100%, and maybe he plays 28, 30 minutes again today. Listen, I'm being serious when I say I don't think it's the most insane thing if this guy is 4K on a slate with no value and he's pulling 4% ownership. That's all I'm saying.
I think the problem is going there today. I don't know if he gets 5 looks like he did in game 1. I don't hate it.
Well, if they continue to play Embiid the way that they did, he might get another 5-6 looks.
I mean, the problem is he had 5 steals. And you kind of need that to happen again.
I get it. All I'm saying is he's essentially unowned on a 2-game slate. He's a starter and he's $4,000. He's unowned on a 2-game slate.
I have 2%. I gave him 26
so you have even
minutes.
Less.
Yeah. I gave him 26 minutes. He's a 0.5 fantasy point per minute guy. If he falls into more, the problem for PJ Tucker in this series is he's not useful in this series. And I don't mean that negatively. Like he had an incredible game 1, plus 4.8 box EPM, very different than Westbrook had yesterday, but that's neither here nor there. The problem with PJ Tucker is this isn't the team that they need PJ Tucker for. So I don't really see him getting like those 30, 32, 34 minute games where you're like, okay, now when I divide 34 by 2, it's 17 fantasy points instead of 12. They don't have to deploy him the same way they normally would. So his total upside just feels a tad lower for me. But I don't mind taking the flyer. I think we got the best 6 points, 7 boards, 5 steals out of Tucker in game 1. I don't think it's ever getting any better than that.
I don't necessarily agree with you that they don't need him in this. Let me give you just one quick point here, right?
Sure.
If PJ Tucker can just limit Mikal Bridges, you have completely neutered this team. There's nothing left of the Nets.
I don't really think that the way that PJ Tucker defends is what you're worried about against Bridges. That's my
you don't
thing.
Need, but I'm just saying you don't really need the additional offense.
Right, but like you're not worried about Mikal Bridges backing down Jalen McDaniels or like Tobias Harris, and like that's you're looking. We're not looking for PJ Tucker's strength in this matchup. He's not trying to keep LeBron from the paint or Durant or Jimmy Butler or guys like that. Like Bridges is just going to play this differently.
I got you, and so I'm certainly not trying to die on this hill. All I'm saying is, like, okay, Royce O'Neal's 40%, Tucker's 4%. Is that where you think it should be?
Yeah, probably. Pretty close.
And I know O'Neal's been a better per minute producer this year, but historically,
it's a little stretched, but I don't think that it's really outside the realm there.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's the difference of being a 0.5 guy and being, where do I have 0.75? Like, that's a quarter of a fantasy point per possession. That adds up.
Yeah, it's right. I know. I get it. The per minute production is different there considerably. Was just a little bit surprised to see only 4% despite how bad this guy's been. Look, I hate going anywhere near PJ Tucker, but yeah, he was pacing almost. What did he pace? I think 28, 29 minutes last game before they pulled everybody. He played 25, came out with about 2.5, 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Looking at 28.
And like, maybe they close with him. They don't have to. Like, there's also that. So I wouldn't want to just immediately give it to him because I don't necessarily think he has to be out there. You could very easily go to Melton and move Tobias Harris to the 4 against the Nets.
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else for Philly you want to get to?
It's tough, man. There's not a lot here. Like, I got the 10% Maxey at 6,700. He started off really hot in game 1, kind of cooled off as the game went a little bit later. Nobody had him. Price is a lot better now. Harris, I think, looks fine. Like, I've got 10% of both of these guys, but neither one of them is more than 20% owned either. Melton could be interesting at 4,500 just because of the positional eligibility. He's shooting guard, small forward, but I only have him at 0.8 fantasy points per minute. I gave him 24 minutes, but he's only 12% owned. It's a positional flexibility thing more than anything else. We saw bigger minutes out of George Niang. He got a couple of those minutes in blowout run, but at 17 minutes, power forward eligible, 3,300. Like, why? Like, I understand Day'Ron Sharpe is obviously a significantly better point per minute guy, but I think George Niang at 3,300 being a power forward is a little bit more interesting than Day'Ron Sharpe being a center, and he's getting like half the ownership. So maybe that's a spot where you pivot a little bit. If you want to take a swing at McDaniels too, these are like sub 10% guys where you're trying to be different in a large field. But if you're trying to save salary, if you're trying to get to Joel Embiid, those are the types of guys that you need to like hope you're right about.
Paulist said, bet the Sixers get smoked in the second round no matter who they play. They might stand a chance against Milwaukee if Giannis is still. Listen, you lose to teams who have better players. Yeah. Don't move the goalpost now, big fella. We're not talking about the second round. We're talking about the Sixers and the Nets. Don't move the goalpost now. We're talking about who has better players.
Wait,
I would.
Hold on.
What's that?
Am I stupid? Don't answer that. Yeah, they wouldn't even play the Bucks. They play the damn Celtics either way. Your example sucks.
And by the way, I would take the Celtics in that series for sure.
And they'll be the favorite. The Celtics will be the favorites in that
series. As they should be.
They're a better basketball team.
Right. They have better overall players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those instances where you can go, they have a more well-rounded team than the 76ers.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like, if Joel Embiid is the best player in that series, then I think that the Sixers are very live to win that series.
Sure.
But if he's not the best person out there, I don't think you can overcome the rest. Like, there's too many different bodies for the Celtics.
and a fantastic defense to go along with an electric offense. Like they have all of the pieces.
It would take Time Lord being hurt for that to become like an even series.
All right. You ready for next game?
We're ready for the real game. Not that I don't like Philly, Brooklyn, but 240 total on Golden State and Sacramento and a 1-point line. Like this one's different.
They played that game at a 105 pace in game one, just lightning fast.
Yeah. This is the fun one. This is the fun one. This is the easier one to get to.
No question. Before we do though, Bet365, baby. I tell you guys once, I tell you a million times, it's the best promo in the country right now, hands down. You will not find a better promo than this. Maybe on like some offshore book where you never actually see your money. Bet365 been around forever. All right. Everywhere. They've been around forever. They've just made their way in the United States. You can look at it too. They're gaining ground. They're getting market share. Why? Because they treat their players right. Not only are you betting $1 to get $200 in bonus bets. You heard that right. You bet $1, you are getting $200 in bonus bets, which is insane because you're only betting $1. You sign up using the link in the description or the one in chat. Takes a minute to sign up. You deposit $10, okay? Play only one of those dollars. Play one of those dollars on whatever you want. You don't need to win the bet. If you win or lose, it doesn't matter. You're getting $200 in bonus bets regardless. And when I say they take care of their players, they don't do you dirty, I think it's only like a one-time playthrough on this in order to be able to withdraw it. That's nuts. So many of these other places are like 10 times playthrough. They just expect you to lose it all. One, it might be two, but even if it is a 2-time playthrough, I think it's one or two. You guys, someone can confirm that's done it already because I know a lot of you guys have already done. I know a lot of you guys have already done this. But yeah, just fantastic. Bet $1. Now here's the caveat. You got to be in Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, or Virginia. One of those 4 states. If you are, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't have your friends in neighboring states going, who is this asshole who had an excellent opportunity to make $200 on a single buck and turned it down? It's not worth sitting this one out. Any other opportunity to get $200 on $1, you're jumping at that before they can tell you the actual deal. So check it out. Links in the description. Link is in chat. You're talking about, say, 2 minutes to place a bet. I would just put a massive long shot parlay on the $1 because if you win, you're getting paid out nice. And if you lose, doesn't matter. You're getting 200 anyway, win or lose. But yeah, check it out. Link in the description. You're getting $200 in the 2 minutes it takes you to sign up. Must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Virginia, Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, those 4 states, you're the lucky winners today in the Bet365 sweepstakes. All right, Golden State, Sacramento Kings. Let's dive into this one, man. Fun game the other day.
Yeah.
Curry had a shot to win it. Or to tie it, I think it was. Win or tie, can't remember.
Yeah, tie.
Tie it. Fun game. Now, still 1.5-point favorites on the road. Sacramento, man, people are stoked out there. First time in the postseason since 2006. Beat the reigning champions in game 1. People are excited, man. But what do we want to do at the top of Golden State?
By the way, game 1 went perfect. If you wanted to bet Golden State, like letting Sacramento's crowd in game 1 get them that dub, you just get such a better series price. Now's the time to get them.
It is crazy how bad the Warriors have been on the road this year, though. It really is. And I can't help but think this team has just a ton of vets, ton of experience. They're not going to lay down.
No, not at all. S&P says, how don't you foul in that series? What? Who does?
Ben.
Oh, crazy. S&P said, how don't you foul in that spot? So hard to try and foul Steph and Clay before they get that shot off, because if you don't and you get them 3 free throws, like that's not ideal either.
Agreed.
They're a hard team to try to foul in that situation, just like to try to stop that from happening.
Did you see the J.R. Smith clip with JJ Redick
about Soup?
About Matthew Dellavedova?
No. I mean, wait, like that he almost killed himself by guarding Steph?
Did he almost died? Ago?
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad.
Talking about, like, he's like, listen, I love that guy, and I love him even more after trying to guard Steph because he had no excuses. He wasn't like, I'm trying, or Steph's just hot. No excuses. The guy couldn't breathe. He couldn't talk. He had to go to the hospital and get like IVs to rehydrate himself. He was in ice baths up to his neck for like an hour, not literally an hour, but It almost killed. What a type of player you want on your team. I mean, nobody can guard Steph like that. You're running 47 miles a game. But De'Aaron Fox after that game was like, "You guys don't think I saw that J.R. Smith clip?" He's like, "I know. It's tough. It ain't easy."
Can you imagine how much better Dellavedova would have been if he went 3 for 19 during one of those games? All that effort plus the shots. Holy
if they won
shit.
the series, maybe.
I know.
If they won, but just it's crazy to think about, and it's funny too because you got the head coach of the Kings who's trying to work on Fox's defense, but he was an assistant coach, right, on the Golden State Warriors, who did what he could to improve Steph Curry as well. So everything comes full circle here.
It certainly does, man. It's a wild, like the little bits of this series are so wild. The Mike Brown piece, like OB just said, Mike Brown wants the Kings to play faster versus Golden State. I'm sure Golden State's thrilled. The more possessions there are, the better it is for Golden State. So I'm sure they would like them to play as fast as possible. The Kings should be trying to do the opposite in a weird way. Push when you can, but don't when you can't. Less possessions means you have a better chance. Love Golden State here. Hard not to. I mean, the Kings defense sucks. It sucked all year. It's going to suck even more in the playoffs when you play Domantas Sabonis even more minutes. And it shows in the ownership. 39 to Clay, 34 to Steph, which I'm just going to say right now is too high. 49 to Draymond, 39 to Looney, another 20 to Wiggins, DiVincenzo, and Poole. Only 10% to Gary Payton. That's going to become a talking point for us in a second. Guy that I like the most here, though, is Looney. Played 32 minutes on Saturday, was even from a plus-minus perspective. When Kevon Looney is on the floor, Golden State's defense is very, very tough to break down. I gave him 29 minutes, so 3 less than he had on Saturday. I'm still getting him in 3/4 of my lineups. I can't get away from Looney because I just don't see him coming off the floor, and I don't know who gets the minutes if they do. Like, I can't imagine they're trying to go to more Kuminga instead. I think you just want Looney out there for the defense.
Yeah, who do you think had in all of the game ones, right? Yeah. Who do you think had the most miles run on defense? There's no way you'll guess this, but it is funny to look at.
All right, I'm looking to my right because I can see all the teams.
Yep.
Is it a guy that, like, does overtime factor into this at all? Like, did somebody get an extra 5 minutes? Okay.
No. I can just you're never going to guess. I'll just tell you.
No, shush. Well, if you're talking to me about the Warriors.
It's not.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Devin Booker.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's not surprising to me.
No?
No. I mean, that dude's constantly Wait, how did the most, like, in the in-game movement? Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, the most distance in miles on defense.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. 1 point. Yeah, on defense. 1.55.
Was he chasing around yesterday?
What?
Who was he chasing around yesterday?
I don't know. And I watched the game. I don't know. It seems like a lot.
Right. Like, if you would have told me it was Fox or something like that, I'd be like, okay.
That would have been obvious. Yeah. Fox was 5th.
I was starting to think like it was, like DeJounte Murray or something like that. But
the weird thing is 2 of the top 5 are Cleveland players, which is hilarious because that game is so slow.
Yeah.
And
I would have thought when I first started thinking about it, like when you said Booker, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. He's like on constant movement on offense, but that wouldn't have been the right question.
Yeah. Yeah. On offense too. He was up there, but anyway, Draymond Green, 24 potential assists last game, 24 led the team in touches. Okay. With 85. So, and played fewer minutes than a lot of those guys. Just clearly very involved in everything. It's the playoffs. It's Draymond Green. You're going to get just an insane amount of opportunities for him. Not a lot of scoring opportunities. Understood. I get that. But he's going to do so much elsewhere. 17 rebound chances, 24 potential assists, led the team in touches, played almost 34 minutes. I do think at that price point, there is some nice upside in a game that is going to be played as fast as it is on Draymond Green today.
Yeah, I like him I don't like him as much as the 49% ownership that's coming in.
I just saw what he was owned at. Yeah, I bet the over 7.5 assists. So,
and he's going to be involved like that, but he was 1 for 5 from the field. It's really difficult to pay off that $6,100 price tag unless he's going to be a little bit more involved offensively. And when you've got Steph and Clay and Wiggins back, and whatever you're getting out of Jordan Poole, like, it's got to be a really big breakdown at the rim. And this isn't really a series where I would expect to get a lot of Draymond offense, just because if you're going to be playing Looney 30 plus minutes, then you are locked in to 2 non-shooters being on the floor. There's just not going to be a lot of space for Draymond to, like, if he's never going to take those open threes, it's not like he's going to be getting to the rim with any sort of regularity. That's not going to be there. So it's going to have to be that sort of outlier defensive stat performance, assist performance, rebound performance. Because I just don't think he's going to be involved enough offensively. At 6,100, that's fine. We're talking about needing 32 fantasy points. Like, I want to get to Draymond. I just don't know if I want him in half of my stuff.
That's fair. I get it.
Great play though.
Yeah, if he could even give you 10 points in a game like this, but that's not easy for Draymond Green. So
not in these scenarios. No, I mean, we're talking low usage, low shot attempts. Yep. That's just not his style. Now, if it's a game where Looney's not playing as much and Draymond is now at the 5, then that will open him up a bit more for scoring. But if you're betting on Looney, then it's harder to want to bet aggressively on Draymond.
Yeah, and Looney played 32 minutes last game as well. So there's that. But no, I get it. I got you. But look, high scoring, fast paced game. You will see a lot of defensive opportunities. You're going to see a lot of rebounding, facilitating opportunities. Those things do stand out. If you had even a decent game from him as far as a score, like 8 points, really, you probably could get a really solid effort. But like you said, not a game. No series do you really need him offensively. But anything else for the Warriors that you want to dig into here? Where do we want to go with the rest of this team?
Yeah, like, look, Clay's 6,900.
Question. Sorry to cut you off. Poole's questionable.
Clay's 6,900. He's 40% owned, and I think that he should be. I don't have anything to add here. Like, you know what you're getting when you're trying to roster Clay. Like, you want the outlier shooting performance. I'm baffled by Steph's ownership, honestly. 34% is massive. He's 9,600. He's not that kind of per minute guy. 1.26 in my model, 1.28 for the game, 1.26 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. I don't think that I have him projected in any sort of crazy way. He's just, like, not that guy. And I don't totally get it. Like, if I look at Curry right now, he's 34% owned. James Harden is $600 cheaper, 28% owned. Like, that's basically the same, but Harden's a little lighter. I'd rather have Harden than Curry, and I'd rather have that extra $600. Similar story. Like, he's comparably owned to De'Aaron Fox. I think De'Aaron Fox is very clearly a better play than Steph Curry today. You're saving $1,100. I think Fox should have the same projection as Steph Curry on a day like today. Again, he's a 1.25 guy. If you want to say that that's just a little crazy and you want to bump that up because it's the playoffs or whatever, it's still not making Steph Curry be exceptional. You know what you want, and you know what you're trying to get out of Curry here, but because of his price tag, I think he's like the most wrongly owned dude at the top. He's the guy I want the least of anybody at the top.
Yeah, and De'Aaron Fox, massive. What was his usage last year? Had to have been close to 33, 35%.
34.5 is what I have at cleaning the glass.
There you go. Yeah, massive usage rate on De'Aaron Fox. He was fantastic. Yeah. Guy almost dropped 40. And you're going to continue to see that type of usage from him. I don't know if it's going to sit at 35, but you're going to see 30+% usage, 40 minutes out of him every time they get the opportunity. So I got you on that. I want to talk about the Kings to close this one out, but do you have any other kind of secondary, tertiary options for Golden State that we need to get into here?
Yeah, I mean, like, Wiggins is interesting. We saw him get 28 minutes. Maybe you think that he could play a little bit more. Position works. I think he's fine. DiVincenzo is the guy that's pulling the ownership at 20% right now. He's small forward only, 4,300. Only played 20 minutes. Could play more. I think that he's interesting because of his position. The guy that I actually want to talk about, like, we've got Poole at 21% ownership. I don't know how you want to go to that. I don't think he's live to close any games unless he's shooting well. I think they're just going to go a different direction. And I think the direction that they're going to go is Gary Payton. 4,100 shooting guard, small forward. He played 20 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised, given the fact that like the Kings were the way that they looked offensively. The Kings shot 35% of their shots at the rim. That's a 78th percentile outcome. And that's with Draymond Green and Kevon Looney playing a ton, which means their point of attack defense was lacking. If you're trying to improve your point of attack defense today, then Gary Payton playing more minutes at the expense of someone is how that's going to happen. So if you like the idea of getting to more, if you think that Payton can play a little bit more, and I think that he can, he's 4,100 shooting guard small forward, and he's not a 0 on a per minute basis. He's a 0.85 guy. Now, a lot of it's going to come from steals. Sacramento can cough that up. If the Warriors defense is cooking, that's a great spot for Payton. I think he's the guy that's most likely to play potentially more minutes because I think it fits this game a little bit better. I think he could get a steady diet of De'Aaron Fox trying to slow him down a little bit. And if that's the case, you're going to want him at 10% ownership.
All right. Let's wrap it up with the Kings. Well, Gary Payton love in here. 10%. All right. Oh, and you hear us talking about ownership and the boom bust tool and the projections and all that stuff. 50% off everything, guys. I've you know the drill. If you've been on the fence and you're looking to get in and you're not looking to go full price for one reason or another in your first week or your first month, you got 50% off. Links in the description and in chat. Boom bust tool, the player projections. The best thing right now, Josh, I think we've talked about it a million times. There's 100 different sports going on right now. You have every tool for every sport and you're getting 50% off. It's not just like only basketball's happening or only baseball's happening. You're getting everything there is.
We have so much behind the paywall for people for every sport. Projections, ownership, boom bust, top stacks, top pitchers, top batters, top everything, depending on which sport we're talking about here. The amount of optimal data for the NBA, top golfers tool, top fighters tool for the UFC every Saturday. The overwhelming amount of advanced data that's on the back end is staggering. Plus Discord, plenty of other additional, plenty of other content that we're missing.
Yeah,
that we're not even touching on
for NASCAR as well.
There you go.
All of them. Yeah, and projections for any of the other sports like tennis that you're looking to get into. So, and the best thing, you don't even have to know these sports particularly well. Nope. You just have to take a little bit of time, figure out how to use the tools. We have tutorials and everything, and then you're in business. A lot of the best DFS players out there don't really even know the sport. Not
at all.
A lot of them don't even know the players, but they win because they know how to use the tools and take advantage of that. Use it in low stakes, high stakes, whatever it is you want. All of it's 50% off, whether you want to do the first week or the first month, top to bottom, you're getting 50% off. Or if you're someone that is just playing casually, even $2 a day, right? And you're like, I just don't have time. I'm working. I got a family. I get a demanding job. I got all this other shit going on in my life. The lineup generator, which gives you lineups, is less than $4.50 for the first week. It's half off. You can lock players. You can swap players. You can keep as many lineups, save as many lineups as you want, upload them to CSV. It's also optimized for mobile. We've had some guys have immense success with that, with the lineup generator. Baseball's coming soon. Lineup generator's coming soon. That's going to be awesome. You'll be able to set your stacks just like you did in football. Just a million different wrinkles that we're going to have worked into this. So less than $4.50 a week. It's a great tool for anyone, but especially for those of you who may not have the time to research every day, or you're just looking for an opportunity to get lineups, filter through them, maybe put your own, massage them a little bit, but have stuff that's built for you. Less than $4.50 for the first week. Everything's in the description and in chat. You can't miss it. All right, let's wrap this up with the Kings here.
Let's do it. This is the best team on the slate.
We already talked about we already talked about Fox. I don't think we need to go much deeper in there unless you want to.
I just want it to be known that at 8,500, his price tag is hella stupid. The fact that he's 39% owned is awesome. I have 63%. I think that De'Aaron Fox is the best high-end option you can get to today because of that current ownership and because of the fact that he's 8,500. He's basically the same per minute guy as Steph, and they are not priced the same.
Yeah, look, the price point on De'Aaron Fox for a playoff game, especially when they've slate's been pricing some of these guys up probably higher than they should be. It seems like it's just wrong. It does. It seems wrong. What about, and we're going to get into Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, both of who are pulling ownership themselves. What about Sabonis today? Kind of, underwhelming game in game one. We know he still has massive upside, but is this a spot where you want to get over the field on Sabonis, or is De'Aaron Fox just by far your top play for the Kings?
I don't even think De'Aaron Fox is the top play for the Kings, but I do love De'Aaron Fox.
Sorry, top tier play for the Kings, I meant, of the two.
I'm neutral on Sabonis. 9,300's fine. He's going to play relatively big minutes. I gave him 37. He played 35 in the last one. I think 37 is very reasonable. I don't mind the ownership. I think that I've probably got him projected more aggressively than most. I got him at 1.41 fantasy points per minute in this spot. That said, I'm still not getting to a ton. There's just so many different center options that I'm a little bit more interested in. One, I would prefer to just get all the way up to Joel Embiid if I could. But you've got, it's either you're paying up with Embiid or Sabonis, or you're paying down. Those are your options for today. I'd rather get to Embiid if I could, but then you get Claxton at 6,600, Draymond at 61, and you get the power forward. Kevon Looney at 5,200. And then you start working in those guys, the Trey Lyles and the Day'Ron Sharps, if you want to try to pay down all the way. There's not a lot of center options out there. So you're going to get to Sabonis. And I'm getting to a neutral amount of him relative to the field. But he's not a big usage guy. He's sort of like the Spencer Dinwiddie in that regard, where he's got 22% usage and you just expect it to be higher, but it's not. Obviously, aggressively involved from an assist perspective, aggressively involved from a rebounding perspective. He looks good, but he's not the best pay up option. And at that point in time, that's where you start thinking like, well, if one of Draymond or Claxton or Looney have a bigger day and go for 40, that's just going to offset it without Sabonis having the nuke day. So to me, he looks passable, totally reasonable at 32%. And that's where I have him.
And those lesser priced centers, a lot of them do have that upside today.
They do.
They do have that 40 fantasy point upside where it would definitely put you in a rough spot. And yeah, Sean, good call. You guys, yes, you can add the Fantasy Cruncher add-on to those 50% off subscriptions. And you could do a week or a month or one sport or all sport. It doesn't just need to be like one thing. It's the whole, everything under the umbrella of all of our packages is 50% off. Jalen Hurts just signed the extension.
Oh yeah. They should have never drafted him.
5-year, $255 million. Man, these guys, Hurts becomes the highest paid player in NFL history. But that actually doesn't mean anything because the next good quarterback to get a deal will become the highest paid player in NFL history. That's just how it goes. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It feels like they don't want to pay Lamar. Should Lamar get more?
Not right now, he doesn't. Should
Lamar get more than Jalen Hurts did?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I think they're very comparable.
If we're paying NBA guys based on who's the best play for today, do you know who should get the most money?
Kevin Huerter.
Kevin Huerter, man, 5K, shooting guard, small forward, 58% owned. The number
is that who you were going with for this?
The number one contender on my contenders videos for today.
Cheers.
Played 31 minutes on Saturday. I gave him 30 for today. That seems pretty reasonable to me. He's around a fantasy point per minute, dude, but the flexibility you get from being able to roster Kevin Huerter is why you see him with that massive ownership. If he gets to 30 fantasy points, you're doing backflips, but honestly, you can handle a little bit less. He's just very clearly the easiest guy to get to today.
What about Monk and the rest of this team? We'll wrap it up with this.
Yeah, I mean, the Monk thing is wild because obviously he had a massive day and was just going crazy, scoring 5,100 shooting guard only, pulling 40% ownership. And I guess I agree with it. Like, I only gave him 24 minutes. I don't think that he has to play those minutes once again. You know, I don't know what they do with Keegan Murray, who played 16 minutes and was just a ghost for the end of the game. Maybe they go to more Davion Mitchell. Maybe you can continue to go to Monk. Maybe Keegan Murray gets his minutes back. I think all of those are interesting. But even at 24 minutes for Monk at 5,100, I think that ownership's about right. It doesn't make me feel good to say that because on the surface, if I just look at his price and his ownership, I would assume I have like 1/5 the field. And I don't. I'm actually still getting to Monk. I'm getting to Mitchell. And I'm getting to Trey Lyles at 3,900. It's just, this is the environment where I want to try to get the bench guy right. Because we're talking about so many more possessions in this game than the Brooklyn Philly game.
I don't know if Keegan Murray's going to get those minutes back. I know it's been weird, and he's, some of the games he plays more, some games, a lot of times it just seems based on how he plays out of the gate. He's playing, right? That's kind of,
look, he's a rookie. Being a rookie is hard in the playoffs, especially against the defending champs.
Very difficult. Yeah, dude. I mean, if the Thunder did make it in, with the inexperience on that team and the amount of rookies they were running out there and just overall young guys with zero postseason experience, like as much as I would have loved rooting for them, they wouldn't have stood a chance at anything. They're just experience does matter in the postseason. Sure, there's times where you can get some weird fluky situations, but experience absolutely matters.
It really does. It becomes a very giant learning experience. Projecting Keegan Murray is really difficult today because 4,600 power forward, like there's value there, but seeing him play 16 minutes, like there's a lot of additional minutes that can go around here on Sacramento. I don't really have a great feel for projecting Keegan Murray. I gave him 24. I don't know if that shakes out that way, but at 24, I'm still a little bit lighter than the field. I think I can tolerate that because if he falls into like 28 today, I don't think that we could have seen that coming.
Do you think the Kings having a guy like Harrison Barnes in the locker room and everything, who has been there and won championships, it makes a difference on a team that largely has zero postseason experience?
You would think it does. It
think
should.
So too.
I love the Barnacle today. I've got 2x the field of the Barnacle. I needed him Saturday night. Like he was a linchpin for me having a chance to ship the NBA tournament. So, but 5,400, like he's going to play big minutes. He's out there. He can move up and down the positional spectrum. The moment isn't going to get too big for him. I mean, we've seen him take over games in 2K. We've seen him play in the finals. Maybe not all that great, but he played 36 and a half minutes. I gave him 35 for this game. He's the guy that I'm most over the field on for the Kings. That would be the Barnacle of the Bay, Harrison Barnes. Love the man. What's really crazy is I hate Harrison Barnes. I thought he was going to sign with Duke back in the day. I went and watched him on ESPN announce between Duke, Carolina, and Kansas. I know what restaurant and what bar I was at in town, and he picked the Tar Heels like a jerk.
But you love the Barnacle of the Bay today.
I love the Barnacle of the Bay, man.
Man, good time. Those were some good times.
They really were.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys hanging out. We got the deeper dive live before lock later. You got MLB strategy show coming up at noon. I believe that's Neil and Adam. That's a great show. Stick around for that. Everything else we got going on right here on the Stochastic YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up before you go. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman, me at Lafay_D on Twitter. Shout out to Jordan Klein. Remember, you try and get 50% off everything. That's in the description and in chat. And Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Almost did Utah. I don't know why I say Utah. You can't do anything in Utah. You can do something.
You can have multiple lives.
Yeah, I was going to say, not related to sports, man, the multi-accounting would be insane in Utah if they legalized sports betting.
I mean, that's the play right now. Like if you're a man who's got a woman that's your wife, then you can have multiple wives and you're running out 150, 300, 450, 600. That's the play, man. Yeah, that's the play. Now, I assume gambling is against whatever they root for, but yeah, what are you going to do? It's not gambling when you have 600 lineups.
Exactly. Well, I mean, especially if you have one of those cult leaders and he just has all of them create an account.
That's the play. We need to move to Utah, man. We need to move to Utah.
I got to move to Utah. Nah, for real, I appreciate you guys. Bet $1, get 200 on those states. Bet 365, best promo out there. But aside from that, Josh and I'll be back with you tomorrow. What do we got? 3 or 4 games tomorrow, something like that.
We got 3 tomorrow.
3 tomorrow. We'll see you here. Don't go anywhere. Peace.
Westbrook sucks.